The idea for Runaway was sparked by my friend and teaching colleague Greg Sarkisian. When Sammy Keys and the Sisters of Mercy came out in 1999, he read it and, after telling me how great it was, see, what a friend! He mentioned that he would love to know more about the homeless girl that Sammy rescues in the story. The instant he said it, I knew this book was in my future. The idea just gripped me. How do you become homeless at 12? How long could you survive on your own? How did Holly wind up in a refrigerator box on the banks of a dried-up riverbed? I had the basic story of her life when I wrote Sisters of Mercy, but the details would be hard to face. Hard to live with for the year or more it would take me to write it. When I write a book, I become immersed in the story. I live it, breathe it, eat it. Well, I don't eat it. Think about it day and night. People have told me I'm prolific, but what I really am is obsessive. I just can't seem to let things rest. Ever since Greg made that original comment, Holly's been haunting me. She's been there in the back of my mind, waiting for me to face her one-on-one. Waiting for the time when I would finally tell her story. I wanted Holly to have her own unique voice, and for her own book to have a distinct style. The idea of a journal came to mind, which led me to the thought of journaling as a classroom tool, and then to musing over the myriad ways teachers try to get to kids to keep communications open, to let kids know that they're there for them and they believe in them. When plotting a book, I often spend time lying on the couch, sort of story dreaming. I let one cognitive thread lead to the next, then to the next. Sometimes it gets me absolutely nowhere. Sometimes it helps me make connections and devise wickedly wonderful twists of plot. In the case of Runaway, it brought me to the idea that Holly's teacher would be the one to give Holly a journal and encourage her to write. And Holly's reaction would, of course, be just as you found it on page 1. It's cold, it's late, I'm trapped in here, trying to sleep under this sorry excuse for a blanket, and I've just got to tell you, you don't know squat. You think you know what I'm going through, but you don't, you think you know how I can cope, but you're just like everybody else, clueless. Writing, poetry, learning to express myself. It'll help you turn the page, Holly, just try it. Well, I'm trying it, see, and is it making me feel better? No! Giving me this journal was a totally lame thing to do. You think writing will get me out of here? You think words will make me forget about the past? Get real, Miss Leone. Words can't fix my life. Words can't give me a family. Great. But still, Holly has no one. Not a soul in the world whom she feels she can trust. So she talks to Miss Leone through the journal. And long before she's even aware of it, the journal becomes her lifeline and eventually her most prized possession. In my own, as you saw earlier in the book, when she lost all of her stuff in the waves, in the high tide, and she barely got anything back, but she made sure to get her journal back. Yeah, just making connections here. I feel like this video needs to be like a group discussion with me and Mike Manella. You know, just a one-on-one book chat as the only two people who heard the whole thing. Although Mike you kind of skipped out on some, but you know what? It's K. You know, I don't really care anymore. In my own life, I also came to writing from a place of anger. Life seemed devastating and cruel and completely unfair, and I started lashing out about it on paper. Now when I do school visits, I often share my adopted philosophy on dealing with hard times. Don't take your anger out on yourself, through drugs or alcohol or whatever. Don't take it out on other people by being negative or aggressive or just, plain mean. Take it out on paper. Getting your anger, sadness, or frustration out of your system and onto paper is very cheap and very real therapy. Of course, that's a simplistic view of dealing with anger, but in my case, writing saved me from the despair I was feeling, and over time it has evolved into an amazing, joyful career. So I'm a believer, man. A big believer in the power of words. Anyway, for over a year I've been living in Holly's world, learning about everything from horse trailers to the Los Angeles River, interviewing people, sneaking inside the cargo hold of a Greyhound bus, and yes, spending time at homeless shelters. A lot of this research was sobering, but not unfamiliar. My husband and I lived the first years of our marriage in a run-down 400-square-foot rental house in a bad part of town. Gang activity, domestic violence, drug deals, and homelessness were all present in our neighborhood. We got 2 big dogs and shut the blinds, but we were never blind to what was going on around us. This was the environment that spawned the character of Holly in the first place. Ridiculous as it sounds, it was facing poetry that actually scared me the most. I'm an embarrassingly emotional person, and getting down to the raw heart of the matter was terrifying to me. I was not a poet. How could I write poems? Even through the voice of Holly, what made me think I could pull this off? But I had this idea. And anyone who knows me knows that when I have an idea, there's trouble brewing. I'm like a dog with a bone. I chew on it and just won't let go. So I chewed on poetry. I studied it, I practiced it, and eventually I got almost comfortable with it. And I'm glad I faced my fears. The poems express Holly's emotion in a way that her narration alone couldn't. There are no walls in her poems, no posturing. Just Holly as she really is. Vulnerable, scared, and alone. As always when creating a book, there were people who gave invaluable insight, information, and support. Top of the list is my intelligent, compassionate, versatile, and astute editor, Nancy Sisko. Hey, gushing's allowed, this woman pulled me out of the slush pile. Right beside her is my rock of a husband, fellow writer, and partner in everything, Mark Parsons. Then there's Ginger Knowlton at Curtis Brown Ltd., who's a lot more than an agent, and my new and very sharp manuscript readers, Colton and Connor. And the research end of things, there's Steve Rodout at the San Luis Obispo Greyhound Station, plus the actual driver who busted me but didn't have me arrested, and instead showed me how you could escape the cargo hold. Nancy Herzog Johnson, a friend and longtime volunteer at the Prado Lane Homeless Shelter, and Whitney, the girl at the shelter who told me her story while I was undercover. Those people have my sincere thanks, but the dedication of this book goes to a group that doesn't hear thank you enough. Teachers. Teachers like Miss Leone. The ones who are determined to reach the kid who seems unreachable. The ones who put their heart and soul into their profession and often don't know the outcome of their efforts. The ones who care enough to make a difference, even if they're never thanked. This book, I dedicate to them.